Just a few minutes.
Broken trust to a degree we never dreamed we might uncover. Fertility failures at university hospitals here in Cleveland led News 5 on a trail across the country.
It's hard right now to think that that is possibly taken away from me.
Our exclusive 5 on Your Side investigation reveals shocking details about just how often these tragedies happen.
Once we realized the scope of all this, we set out to get some answers about why it's allowed to continue. 5 on Your Side investigator Sarah Bunnison's here now. And Sarah, you found cases that go back decades.
We did. From the tragic to the bizarre, we found accidents and mistakes involving fertility centers in every part of the country. Even more troubling, we also found there is no way for patients to find out about those disturbing failures.
And my parents just called me and said, like, are you sitting down? I was like, yes.
In that instant,
And there was an accident that happened.
her dreams
And we think that all of your eggs that were retrieved were lost.
were destroyed.
And I just felt like really sad. It's like I don't know what it means for me with having kids.
It has been nearly a week.
The hospital is still denying
New information about the malfunction.
regulations or lack of regulation.
That was their only shot.
Shouldn't have to deal with this right now.
Sierra Matthews is one of 950 fertility patients whose eggs or embryos were lost during a catastrophic malfunction
They confirmed the medical misstep.
Still denying interview requests.
at University Hospital's fertility center in Beechwood in March.
They represented life and hope. And it was like hope for me that if I wasn't able to have kids naturally, that I had this backup plan and safety net.
Her life had just returned to normal.
Flashbacks happened of everything that I had to go through.
At 18, she was diagnosed with ovarian cancer. After undergoing surgery to save her life, she decided to undergo treatments at UH to save her fertility.
It was very important to me to be able to be a mom because I want to be able to love my own kids.
How often do problems happen?
I think probably more than we think.
Brownie Lewis is a law professor at Cleveland State University and expert on reproductive issues.
But what they tend to do is report the success stories and not when there are problems.
In my 28 years of doing IVF, accidental loss of embryos or accidental destruction is something that's extremely rare. This is also on our alarm system.
Keith Whitaker
This blastocyst
is an embryologist
is starting to hatch.
at Northeastern Ohio Fertility Center in Akron, who has helped hundreds of people become parents.
What does happen is IVF is not perfect, and not every one of our patients gets pregnant.
But our exclusive 5 on Your Side investigation found close to 4 dozen heartbreaking incidents involving fertility clinics around the country, going back
I remember asking him if he was sure,
40 years.
if it was all of them.
In Beverly Hills, Marissa Yukich's embryos were accidentally thrown out.
They inadvertently destroyed all of the embryos.
What do you mean there's no embryos?
In Los Angeles, Natalia Bergman's simply disappeared.
They had to cancel the procedure because there was no embryos.
At that moment, we had no idea what the future was going to bring.
Even more disturbing, Ohio mom Carolyn Savage was implanted with another woman's embryo.
Within 8 minutes of delivery, we were handing off Logan to his parents, never knowing if we'd ever see him again.
There's no one in this world that has gone through this.
The most bizarre, this Texas case. Just listen.
Why would you go get pregnant without me?
A fertility lab gave Lane Hardin's sperm to his ex-girlfriend without his permission.
So I'm just asking the question of why, after we broke up, you went and got the sperm.
What should we learn from all of this?
We should learn that if we're going to continue letting medical technology create different ways to have children, we have to regulate it.
Our investigation also found there are virtually no government regulations for fertility centers. If you're a patient, can you find out about past problems?
No, it's next to impossible to find out about past problems.
Clinics only have to report success rates, like the number of babies born, to the CDC. Failures remain a mystery. Even critical components are self-regulated. No agency inspects storage tanks, like the one blamed for UH's disaster.
There's really no way for a patient to know what is going on at a fertility clinic.
What regulations are we talking about? because we already have very strict standards. See the shiny liquid?
Whitaker took us
If you put something in it,
inside his lab.
you hear it boiling off.
Embryos are stored in these 2 tanks, resembling milk bottles.
We measure the tanks daily.
Replenished with liquid nitrogen weekly to keep them frozen.
Whenever the tanks have been refilled each week, it's logged in.
And 1 minute after he opened the lid, an alarm blasted a warning.
It is not okay.
I wouldn't do anything different or act any differently if there was a law that governed what I do for a living.
Even if they say that they are rare, it's still something that is so horrible that happens. It shouldn't even happen at all.
Unlike many patients, Sierra's not sure she can undergo more fertility treatments.
I love kids, so it means a lot to me to be able to have kids.
After her bout with cancer,
I want to still be able to have kids in the future.
her health is still at risk.
It's hard right now to think that that is possibly taken away from me.
Just to give you an idea of how much she loves kids, Sierra is a senior at Bowling Green State University. Her major, early childhood education. For an in-depth look at all of the cases we found, go to our News 5 app. It includes a database with detailed descriptions. I'm 5 on Your Side investigator Sarah Buttison.